How's it going, everyone? It's Gavin from Balls to You, and in this video I want to just quickly sort of glaze over, if you like, what you should do or what you need to look for when you're going out there to buy your new baby ball python or reptile from a reptile show. Now, this weekend is the Doncaster IHS show at Doncaster Racecourse. I've been asked a few times, you know, what to do, what to look for, all that sort of thing. So I thought, rather than answer the individual people, I'd do a quick sort of glaze or a quick cap of what I would do when I'm going to look for a snake or for a reptile. So the first thing I would do is look with your eyes, not with a price tag. Too many people make that impulse buy where they look at the price and they just buy the snake. There's two problems with that. The first problem is you're not actually looking at the animal. The price is what's drawing you in. The second problem is with that is you tend to buy it, you then get home and then realise that that animal you don't really have a project for. So it becomes a bit of an impulse buy where you've brought it and you think, you know, what am I going to do with it? Here's a few tips what I would do or what I consider before I go crazy and buy a snake. The first thing I do is look at the animal and see if it's something that I need for my projects that I've got going on at the moment. If it's not, and I still like the animal, I would look at that animal and still consider what I could make. And we're not talking next year or the year after. We're talking 4, 5, 6 years down the line, because a lot of people make the mistake with projects to look at that sort of short-term gain. And when you hit that short-term gain, you sort of, I wouldn't say you lose interest, but it's basically done. You know, it's like, well, I've made it and that's it. What I would always suggest is look at where you can go sort of in 4, 5, 6 years time. You know, make the combo, put it into a recessive, or go down the recessive route and try and hit that combo in a recessive gene style. First and foremost, when you are looking at an animal, don't let the price overrule your head. Think about what you're going to do with that project. Once you've then considered what you're going to do with that project or where you're going to go with that snake in a particular project, I want you to inspect the snake. The first thing I tend to do is look at the age of the snake and then the size or the weight. What is important is obviously the age and the size does sort of work and tell a story. So if you've got a snake, let's say we're talking ball pythons, if you've got a ball python that's 2 years of age and it's only 500 grams, that tells me there's an issue. It may be a breeder male, and sometimes breeder males do stay smaller. Okay, well, we can look at that and say it's 500 grams, it's a proven breeder male, it's 2 years of age. Maybe it's obviously, to me, I'd want it to be heavier, but you can understand now why it's probably 500 grams. However, if this was a non-proven breeder male, or it was a female and it was 2 years of age and it was 500 grams, I would be concerned that that snake has either got an eating issue, so in other words, it's a pinicky or finicky feeder. Second of all is, has that person or that breeder just been maintenance feeding it? And that's something that's very difficult to sort of, you know, unless the breeder is going to be honest and open with you, which they may not be. I can't speak for everyone. There are a lot of people out there who I trust and who I believe to be good breeders and will be honest with you, but there are also breeders out there, guys, who will seem like they're okay, but unless you do your investigation work, unless you do a bit of interrogation, could be selling you their problem, if you understand what I'm saying. So the first thing I would do is look at the age, look at the weight. Something like a hatchling for sale, I would consider being over 100 grams or 150 grams upwards and have a feeding record with it. I certainly don't let any of the snakes go that I sell unless they're over, like, either over 150 grams or they've had over 5 feeds. And that's just something that I, you know, or I'm happy with the way they're feeding. Simple. You will get some snakes straight out the egg pretty much who will feed just like that, and they'll get straight onto frozen thawed. Again, that's another thing. It's easier to start a snake off on live than it is frozen thawed, because in the wild their instinct is to feed live. So to get an animal, especially a ball python, sometimes on frozen thawed can be a difficult task for a breeder. So sometimes if it's a live feeder, they may not have access to live food that much. So the live feeding will obviously only happen, instead of them feeding once a week, they may only feed them once every 2 or 3 weeks. So then obviously you've got an issue regarding the age of the snake and obviously the weight of the snake. So when you talk about, when I can get a snake, let's say a male or a female, up to about between 800 to 1,000 grams in about a year or 12 months, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that gives you a rough guideline. That's just feeding once a week. Standard size prey, if you like, as it obviously as the snake gets bigger, your prey item will get bigger, and that's just standard feeding. So if you're using that as a guideline, then if you go to buy a snake that's roughly a year's of age, you want it between 800 to 1,000 grams. So there's something for you guys to consider. The other thing is getting to know the person you're buying it off. That is also probably more important than anything else. I have brought snakes from a show that literally came straight out the egg. For me, that wasn't an issue because the guy had told me it had had 4 feeds. I knew that was a lie. It hadn't even came out of its original shed from when it came out the egg. However, I liked the snake, and that's what I wanted. It wasn't the price, it wasn't the person. I'm a competent breeder. I can take that snake and I can work with that. That's fine, you know, it's not an issue. However, there are people out there who are just getting into it and they want to start off with quality and they want to start off with hatchlings, and you may not have that experience of feeding a hatchling straight out the egg. So I would recommend you guys, you always start with a baby that's well established. But there are breeders out there who will sell stuff just to get it out the door, and unfortunately it's going to be very difficult to sort of police that. So what I would recommend is get to know the breeder. So talk to the breeder, you know, ask what the pairing was, you know, what was the pairing that made that animal. Ask it how it feeds, what it's feeding on. Is it frozen or is it live? That's another thing, obviously. And again, I would always take your time, find that person first of all on Facebook or on Instagram or YouTube, whatever social media platform they're on, or obviously ask them if they can give you their details. So when you purchase the snake or when you're about to purchase the snake, I would ask the person's name and telephone number. Email address, it's up to you. Emails can be lost, they can be changed, you know, and all of a sudden if you haven't got the guy's name, if something goes wrong, what are you going to do? So I would always advise, get to know the breeder, and while you're there, you know, ask them, are you on Facebook? Are you on Facebook? Even though I hate the platform, for most people they are on Facebook. So you can find them on Facebook, have a quick look at what they've, you know, what they've been breeding through the year, and then consider, you know, step back, have a look and consider whether or not you want to purchase that snake. These are just standard tips, guys, which again most people do forget because they're too worried about that snake being sold, or they're worried about the person, the breeder, changing the price, or you know, whatever. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If that snake is meant to be yours, no one will buy it. He will sell it to you, you'll make a perfect transition, and you'll walk away with that snake and everything will be happy. But if that breeder doesn't want to give you their details, or you feel like it's a little bit dodgy, that's because it probably is, okay? It probably is, okay? So you need to be on par with that breeder. You want to find out who they are, find out if they were on social media, find them on social media, and obviously make sure this is the person, because believe it or not, some people will send their friends to sell their animals, and to me that's a bit dodgy, you know. If I'm buying an animal, I want to speak to the breeder, you know. That's just how I see it. Unless the person behind the table is very transparent and says, look, they're not my snakes, they're my friend's snakes, this is my friend, this is him on Facebook or her on Facebook, feel free to have a look, then obviously, you know, it's entirely up to you. Because I do have people contact me after the shows 2, 3, 4 weeks later saying that they've purchased an animal and they're having problems, and do I know this breeder? They didn't get their name, or they did get their name and then they can't find this person. and they just want a bit of information about the snake, you know, how it was kept, what was it kept on, you know, paper towel, lignocell, a cocoa mulch, something, whatever, newspaper, you know, all that sort of stuff. You need to be asking the breeder, you know, what did you keep it on, how did you keep it, how many times a week did you feed it, again, frozen, thawed, live. You need to know these things, because when you get that animal back, you want to integrate it into your collection, but also try and mimic how it was kept at its previous house, or where it was kept at its previous place. You want to try and mimic that so that the animal settles in as quick as possible. Once you've established, you talking to the breeder and you establishing who that breeder is and where they are in the community, and obviously you're happy with their details and you feel you've got, you know, a good vibe off this person, then talk about obviously looking at the animal. Okay, and what I mean by that is you're then going to take the animal and ask to look at it, and you're going to inspect it. Now, there's one thing I'll always advise. There are people out there who have mites in their collection. I would always advise anyone handles, if you're going to a reptile show, don't just handle everyone's snakes. And if the breeders are, like for me, I'm quite particular over my collection, so I wouldn't want just everyone, you know, holding snakes, if you like. There should be hand gel on the tables, so get yourself some of that hand gel, that sanitizing hand gel. Clean your hands obviously, and then ask if you can see the snake, and inspect the snake, you know, hold it, is it moving okay, you know, look for mites, obviously, any foaming from the mouth, you know, is it holding its mouth open? A lot of people look for the foam, but they don't look for the snake holding the mouth open slightly, and physically sort of give it like a bit of a check over, you know, look at it, da, da, da. If you're unsure or you're not sure that the breeder's selling you the right sex, ask him, can you, or ask the person, can you please sex it for me? Is it a male or is it a female? Again, too many times people have walked away from buying an animal and it's been sex wrong. Now, I'll put my hand up, it's happened to me, and again, we all make mistakes, you know. I've brought animals which are meant to be a certain sex and they've been the other. It's not the end of the world. I've had that breeder's contact details. I've been able to contact them and we've sorted something out. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's how you deal with the issue or how you deal with the problem that's going to set you apart from other people. Look with your eyes, not with a price tag. Look for the examples. Is that the best example you can see? Is that the one that knocks you off your feet and you're, you know what, I don't need to look any further. That is absolutely amazing. And then obviously you're going to look at the price. And again, the price, at most shows, the breeders are always open to negotiations, you know, a bit of a deal, that sort of thing. So, you know, consider that. Once you're happy and you can figure out where you want to, you know, what you want to do with that animal in your projects or move forward with a project, you may go there and you may want to get into a particular project. You may be looking for, I don't know, a banana, a clown, a pied. You may want to get into that project. That's fine. But what I'm saying is don't impulse buy. So buy with your eyes. Establish that snake you can do something with. It's a project you want to get into, or you can add it and integrate it into your own projects. And also then speak to the breeder, get a bit of information on the snake. Was he the person that made that snake, or was he the person that's just selling it on behalf of his friend? You know, ask them the questions. If they start to be funny or they start to say, you know, start to go a little bit moody with you, just walk away. You're entitled to ask questions, guys. I'm not saying you should stand there and ask them their life story, you know, but you're entitled to ask questions about the snake, you know. Get the breeder's details, you know, find out who they are, you know, ask them, have they got a Facebook page? Find them on Facebook, walk away, have a look, come back and say, yeah, I'm interested in that snake, can you please tell me more about it? Talk to the breeder. If he's willing, you know, if he wants to sell you that animal and he's a genuine person, then obviously he will stand there and tell you everything you need to know, or try and put your mind to rest. Once you've established that, then ask to look at the snake, and again, once you've looked at it, you're happy, you've inspected it, if you want the breeder to sex it, they should be able to sex it. If not, then I would again query and ask, you know, if they can't sex it, why? Oh, maybe they don't know, maybe they're not sure about popping. That's fair enough, you know, but I'd want to be 100% certain if I was going after a female that, you know, that's what I'm buying. So the breeder should be somehow, I would expect the breeder to somehow show me, or I would ask the breeder if I am competent enough to say, look, do you mind if I sex it? If you're not capable, do you mind if I can? Because I can sex it. So again, the breeder should be fine. Yeah, fine, you go ahead. If he's got a little something to hide and he's being a little bit cagey about it, then just give him the snake back and walk away, okay? The weight and the age of the snake, remember, look at that as well, guys, okay? Try to get as much information out as possible. And then once you're happy, you can then speak to the breeder about the price, and if the price is what it is what it is. But if he's happy to do you a bit of a deal, I also want to just mention as well, like I said before, there are going to be breeders at shows who aren't as transparent, who may have sick or poor animals that they just want to discard, and it's a shame, I know, and it's very difficult to police. Under any event organizer, you know, they do struggle to police it. What I do urge you guys to do is, if you do see an animal that's sick, it's got issues, it maybe looks unhealthy, dehydrated, looks a bit underweight, mites, whatever, go and find one of the stewards, tell one of the stewards, and tell them the table where it's at, and tell them your concerns. One of the last shows that I did, I had about 8 people come to me with concerns, and when I approached the event organisers, it just looks like I've got a bit of an issue, and really I haven't, because these snakes have probably been taken off the table and put away, or, you know, the people have packed up and gone. Well, they can't investigate the issues, they can't, you know, where's the snakes? You know, I've gone to them and said, oh, there was some snakes dead on a table, or this person's got mites and da-da-da. And that's because people are coming and telling me, yeah? You guys need to go and inform the right people and tell them and show them, because it's not right. We shouldn't all get tarnished with the same brush. There's good breeders out there, more good than bad, but there are people out there who will try and off-sell their problems onto other people. And again, if you didn't get the details and you don't know who they are, unfortunately they'll just disappear and they won't care, and that's just the reality of it all. The only thing I can do is try and educate you guys and try and make you guys a bit more aware of what you are buying and when you are buying it and what to look for, okay? So if you do see anything at any show, whether that be in the UK, Canada, the States, Europe, wherever you are in the world, if you see an animal and you have a concern for that animal, whether it be a snake, a reptile, a rodent, anything, okay, go and find one of the stewards, tell them your concerns. They'll send over an independent vet who will go and inspect that animal at that table, and obviously if there is anything going on, they can take that off the table and speak to the breeder about it, okay? I hope this helps, guys. I hope this sort of educates you and gives you a bit more information, because knowledge is power, let's face it. The more knowledge you guys have, the better you'll have an understanding of how things work, and you'll know what to look for, okay? So anyway, I'm going to stop boring you guys. Hope you're all well. Again, take care. Thanks for all your support. Oh, before I go, you'll see, I think it's this side, you'll see the logo of the Medusa. A few people have asked me where can they get the t-shirts. I'm not sure if you saw that, but there's a few people have asked me. On this side at the end, you'll see a Medusa sign pop up. If you click on that, it'll take you straight to the website where you'll find all the t-shirts. I have put some special Doncaster t-shirts on for this year, and they will give you some extra discounts if you come and purchase anything from myself. Again, I'll let all you guys know where I am in the IHS show at Doncaster on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, get over onto Instagram and follow me, and you'll know exactly where I am. I'll put it on the news feed, or on the live feed, should I say, or on the story, whatever it's called. I don't know. So yeah, hope this helps, guys. Take care, and I'll speak to you guys soon.